Hello, and welcome back to the Worcester Senior Center Stay Connected programming on Channel 192, the government station in Worcester. My name is Suki Lapin, and I am the program coordinator at the Worcester Senior Center. Today, we bring you Intro to Zoom, session number 2, creating and using a Zoom account. Please welcome back instructor Richard Spool.
Thank you, Suki. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Phyllis. Okay, so last session, the first session, one of the things I pointed out were the different kinds of plans that we have, a focus on the free one, and which is the basic plan, and the one that you can pay for, which is the basic plan with benefits. You pay for the benefits, but yes, they're there. I asked everyone and I shared a link with everyone here to go to the place where you can look at the 4 plans and at least choose the basic one and sign on for it, the one that is free. And my understanding is all of us have now free Zoom accounts. A reminder for everybody that you don't have to have a Zoom account to be a participant in someone else's Zoom account. If you get an invitation, typically email, but you get an invitation from someone else to join a Zoom meeting, once you click on there, there is a small piece of software from Zoom that is it's called a client software, Zoom client, and it is downloaded onto your computer. It is perfectly safe. It's been around for a while. No one's reported any kind of problems with it. And it doesn't mean that you joined Zoom. You don't have an account with Zoom, but it allows you to join another as a participant in a Zoom meeting. First time that happens, it takes a few minutes to download that client. But after that, except for having updates on the new versions of Zoom client, it's everything works out fine. Okay. So today's, I believe we all have accounts. Today, what I'm going to do is start off with going through the profile, how we can customize our profile to our needs. And then we'll conclude with all the tricks in setting up a Zoom meeting and getting an invitation, a standard invitation together. And what I'd like you all to do is I've created a separate account because I discovered that I cannot show you the Zoom account, anything on my Zoom account that I'm using for this session. I can't share that screen with you. So I have another screen set up with a different Zoom account. I'll demonstrate using that one for all of you. But what I'd like you to do is when we get into creating a meeting, go ahead and create a meeting on your own personal Zoom accounts, and that you can always delete the meeting. And I'll show you how to do that, but you can walk your way through it and the hands-on will be helpful. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I'm going to share my screen right now. And right now you should be seeing, let me minimize everything. So you should be seeing a Zoom account that I've created. I created a Gmail account. I'm going to go back to where it was original. This is what you see normally. So when you log into your Zoom account, the first thing you see on the left side is the profile. I wish it started off with meetings because I always have to ship the meetings at this point. But it starts off with profile. And this is, I've not done anything to the profile. This is the kind of thing you would see from the very beginning. All right. So I had a question from one of our participants about how do I add a picture here? Unfortunately, I wish I had thought about this. I would have had a picture set up. I might just grab some picture and stick it in here temporarily and show you how this works. But if you look on the far right side, this section, that's my name, allows me to go ahead and edit this section. So I can change if I wanted Dick, which I don't. This is my display name. I can put it in, and I think I'll do it right now. I'm going to put it in proper case rather than all uppercase. And I think I'll do the same thing up here. And so I've made this change, and you won't see the change on your screen because I'm using a different account for our session today. This is just for my demonstration. I never bothered putting a phone number on here or this kind of information. This would only be useful if you're sharing this information with other people. I don't, they know me, etc. Okay, but you can do all that kind of stuff. Now, here's where, and you could have done that. Here's where you can add a picture to the spot. I'm going to upload a picture. I'm going to find a picture somewhere. I gotta see where I left pictures. Oh, I know I have pictures. I'll upload something. All right, I teach over in Quinsigamond Community College. Here, I'll just use this picture here. No, that's it. Well, it's an animated one. I better not use that. Let me see. Here we are. I'm a little Boy Scout. So I've uploaded it. User not log in. Oh, I see. That's interesting. I opened this up a couple hours ago to check this out. No, I'm logged in. Why am I not allowed to change that? Upload. And I'm resting my finger. Yeah. Should be okay. Why?
Is it a pay for graphic or something?
No, I don't know. This is certainly a general. These are standard JPEG, GIF, or GIF, or I can't remember, picture something graphic. Can't remember what the PNG. These are all standard formats for pictures, and it's got to be smaller than 2 megabytes. And I should upload it and crop it, but I'm not seeing where that is. All right, well, sorry about that. I was hoping to show the little picture of the Boy Scout up there.
Do you have a picture of yourself, Richard? Just a picture like that you would have taken?
Would
that maybe work? So
any of those pictures, any graphic file you could put on there. That's why I'll try a different picture. Doesn't have to be me.
Let's just say.
I'll do this quickly because I don't want to spend too much time.
Yeah, that's all right. It's all right.
I'll look for a, oh, you know what? Let me see. Where would I have pictures?
These all look like.
Yeah, most of these are graphics that I've used in various
classes.
My classes, right? I like graphics going up there. Okay. Where do I practice graphics? No, I don't have photographs too much.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into my wife's photographs. She has a lot of children. She's a preschool educator. I don't want to show those things.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna hold off and I'm gonna skip on this for a second.
That's all right.
All right. Anyway, that's the process that we'll go through to replace the blank screen with a picture. And you would go save, and it would show up over here. And when you when you went back into your session, your Zoom session, your Zoom meeting, and you stopped your video, rather than have a blank screen show up with just the name that you have on the display, it would replace it with that name and the picture showing above it. But that's how we do it. Okay, Shirley? Okay. That's the process. And I'll see if I can help you with yours. All right, so that's this process here. And we're going to save the changes. I can save these changes. Oh, that's probably why. Let me go back in.
A little different on the Mac, but I figured it out if anybody needs to know.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, let me try it now.
Yeah, try it now.
Maybe for some reason I thought it was in, but maybe it didn't allow me before. Let me try it.
Let's try.
I'll do it very quickly. Try my Boy Scout again. And that looks good. This is how you move this around. You can see how it's going to look on the screen. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And so this shows you this white area. I hope you all can see this. Will show you what part of the picture will be displayed. I'm going to save this. And that's now going to be with my name. That's going to be there. Okay. All right. So, and this gets rid of it. This, of course, allows me to change it to another picture. All right. Okay. So I have never done anything with his personal ID meeting. This, and I don't mind showing, I have no idea what, oh, oops, that was my, I don't know what that is.
It's a phone number.
No, not mine. It's not my phone number. But anyway, notice by default for things like this, when you're sharing your screen, you notice we have the show. By default, it hides the personal information so that you don't have to share it with other people. I want to show you things. That's why I chose a different email. So anyway, this section allows you to see what your links are. I've never changed personal ID means. I have no idea why. I don't think you can, I guess you can edit them, but I'm not sure why. It's just, cancel it. I don't know, don't care. This is my sign. Now, this is the information when I got the free basic one, you have to put in an email account and a private password. So this allowed me to put in a different email account if I want to switch. For example, my old one I'm not using anymore. I want to switch to a new one. I'd have to lose all my information. And I put in my new password. Whoops, don't want to do that. And have to show that I'm a robot. You save the change. And now your new sign-in for the Zoom account will be whatever the new address is. I'm going to cancel this, but I just wanted to show you what this is. You can see I have a basic account, and that little kind of button usually gives you information about the basic account. Limited 40 minutes with 2 or more participants. By the way, notice it says more than 2 participants. You are, as a host, you are one of the participants. If you have, and I think I mentioned this, I did mention in session 1, with a basic account, if you have a one-on-one session, you and one other person, that makes you 2 participants. You have, I want to say, 25 hours, which is more than enough. You have what I consider an unlimited time. You don't have a 40-minute limit. You and one other person can be on a Zoom meeting for 25 hours. Okay, so that's what the basic will do. They really encourage you to upgrade. And this is telling you have a maximum of 100 people. Okay. English. So these are things you can change. Let's say you're spending a couple of weeks with your grandkids in California. You might want to reset this time to the local time so that
yes.
Okay. If you're distracted by telephone calls or people in the room, just mute yourself for the moment, okay? But anyway, this is just standard information. You can edit all this stuff if you want to change it. I've never played. Oh, so this thing, I find this interesting. When you send an invitation out, and I gave you an example, or Suki gave you an example of what a traditional invitation looks like. It has a lot of information on it, most of which we don't need. But one of the things it does has is a link to your calendar. If you're in one of these Google Calendar, Exchange, or Microsoft Office, that's Outlook. If you have one of those calendars up, you can actually have the meeting be placed on your calendar to remind yourself. This allows you to update that information. I've never touched this, don't recommend it, but this will allow you to make editing changes on here. But it's a nice link for some people to be able to quickly add your invite to.
Very helpful. It's very helpful.
Okay, this is the password. You can edit it if you want to. I'm not going to show this because I don't want to show this account, but here is the password. You can change the login password. I don't know. I have no idea what the host key is used for. I've never had to make any changes. Don't want to deal with it, so I leave this alone. I think I talked about the 2-factor I can never pronounce that, authentication process. When a one factor is you simply log in with a password. But in case you're concerned that someone else might have that password, if you turn on, that's turning on this, if you have a 2-person, what happens is this is you have to do this yourself. You have to use the current password to turn this on. But what happens is in a, I'm not going to go through this process, in a two-factor authentication, after you've logged in normally, a second impromptu, ad hoc, whatever you want to call it, password will be emailed to your email account, the one that you're logged into. And then you have to use that to log into Zoom. It helps you if you got, hopefully you have a different password for your email account. It hopefully will prevent someone else from logging into your Zoom account and using it as you are. You know, they can hide their face, et cetera, and that people can think that you are sending these invitations out, et cetera. I never bother because, again, it's not that critical. If someone else found my account, I'll just cancel it and create a new email account and just use it strictly for the Zoom. Okay, so that covers the issues on profile. Are there any questions you guys have on this?
I'm going to ask them. Yes, I do have one.
You have to unmute.
I'm on. Oh, okay.
No, you know, I can hear you. I don't know who's talking. I'm talking. Right
okay,
now.
Irma. I have a question for you. Thank you, Richard, for this information. There are many emails that I will receive that say, just click here to join a meeting.
Right.
How complicated is that to create it? So therefore, you don't need to deal with all these different numbers that we receive.
Well, creating that you're watching, most people just copy the standard invitation and paste it into an email, and you get all the complicated stuff. If you're comfortable with editing your the text on the message after you paste it in the email, we're going to go ahead and do this, and I will show you on my system how to how to copy, paste, and edit the stuff. I will talk about the various components of an invitation. We're going to be doing that in the second half.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Any other questions?
I had a question. Yes.
Question too.
Way back when you said where it says sign in password, they create the password, right? You don't.
No, you. When you created your account,
yeah,
you get to this screen.
Yeah.
You were asked to put in an email account.
Yeah.
And add your own password.
Yeah.
That's the password that you need to log in every time to this.
Okay.
And by the way, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you could see this. What I did for my wife and I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. Again, this is in Windows. I happen to be using, the browser is Edge, the newest version of what used to be Internet Explorer. But you're able to add favorites onto a favorites bar. And what I've done, and in fact, I'll do it right now. This will close this out for a moment, I think. But I'm going to click on this. I found this location. I'm already going to have to log out. By the way, there's my little picture showing up here. I'm going to sign out. Okay, so I'm going to click. I did this. When I got to this screen on the Zoom, I went in and typed in www.zoom.us, and then I went into sign in, and I got to this screen. I was able to, I'll show you how to do it now. If again, this is those of you who have Apple computers or devices, I'm not sure how that's done there, but this is very simple. If you want to add a link, and I'll do it again here, to this toolbar, this is not a Zoom thing, but it's a Windows thing. You go up to this point here and just drag it down. See how it's fitting in there? Let go, and bang, that's how I got it. And I'm now going to right click it. No, actually just drag it off. I guess I didn't do it that way. I'm going to right click and do delete to get it off because I already have it. But that's how you add things up here. And these are all my very common things that I use on a regular basis. My wife has a few things up here, and it's very handy to have this is like a quick access to common links that we use all the time. But anyway, I click on this, and you would type in your email account that you signed in on and your password. Okay. I'm going to do this quickly. And that's something I set up to make it faster for my wife and I and my various accounts that I have. I'm going to sign in, so I'll go back to my regular profile screen. So you just saw me log in. That's the password that you use. Oops, I shifted over there. So this is going back to where we are. Does that help? Was it Irma was asking me the question? Shirley?
It
Yes.
kind of helps, but I don't even have a favorites bar, so it's
Oh,
like,
okay. That's a whole other, I teach these things. I teach at Quinsigamond Community College, and I teach computer literacy, and that's one of the things I teach to my students.
Thank
So that's a whole other thing. I don't want to spend any more time on that, but it's really convenient to have those kind of things. All right. So what I want to make sure, I think one of the things we asked you to do, but if you haven't, if you can all create a open up your account. You can watch me go through setting up a meeting, but I'd love it if you would go through creating your own meeting at the same time. Okay, we will delete, I will show you then on your screen, or you will see on your screen what your meeting looks like, and you then can grab your invitation and play with it if you want to while I'm doing on mine. But what I'm going to do right now is show you how do we schedule a meeting. Now you see up here, the schedule a meeting, join a meeting, host a meeting. Schedule a meeting is create a meeting. You're joining someone else's meeting. You are going to host a meeting. You're going to start a meeting. I have used these. My wife likes using them, but I prefer going over here. This gives me everything on this basic screen. So I'm going to go over to this section, click on meetings, and I don't have any meetings set up yet. So here is what we get to see. If I had upcoming meetings that I have created, this is mine that I posted, they would be showing up down here. And we're going to see that in a moment. Previous ones, personal meeting templates. We'll talk about meeting templates in a moment. I use this a lot. But right now, as I move across here, you'll see schedule a meeting. Schedule a meeting, either this one or this one, but I'm trying to keep it into this screen. So I'm going to click on here, show you how to schedule a meeting for the future. I'll be deleting this. I'll show you how to delete it in a moment. So I'm going to click on that. So here's the general information. Okay, I want to go through that. So you could leave this as my meeting, but I'm going to go practice creating a Zoom meeting. Now, you could, this is optional, you can enter descriptions in there. I've never bothered, but this is where you would enter the description. So now we're talking about the date and the time for the meeting. So I'm going to go over here on the calendar part and click on a date. And I'm going to go, let's just say, I'm making this up, Wednesday, February the 10th. I'm going to click on that. It puts it up. You can type in here, but it's much easier to do it this way. Now, this shows you, it gives you basically 12 going on at 11:30. The 12 different half-hour starting sessions. They don't have, let me go to 10. They don't, can you edit this? I guess you can do this. No, that will work. You seem to have to start on a half-hour basis. I've never seen changing that. This will tell you whether it's AM or PM. So right now, I've just said, here's my practice creating a Zoom meeting. It's going to be on February the 10th, starting at 10 o'clock. And this is how long you can create the meeting. Now, you can set this up for whatever number of hours. You can scroll up and down for 24 hours. Remember, though, if you're going to have a meeting, you can set this up, but you can say 6 hours. But if you have a free account and you're having more than one other person joining you, you're going to still be limited to 40 minutes. And it reminds you down here, okay? With 3 or more participants, including yourself. So 1-on-1, 2 participants, no problem. 3 or more, you're limited to 40 minutes. You can cancel this, stop this, but frankly, I think it's worthwhile reminding you. No matter what you put down here, this is there. Now, this is what I do, not for a 40-minute session. But if I have a longer session like these meetings, I start this, if I have a 10 o'clock session going to 11, so this would be a 1-hour session, I put it down for 2 hours, and I would start at 9:30, allowing me as the host to get in advance. That also means, as we did today with Suki, set this up, excuse me, that she got in earlier, and some of the participants got in earlier. And when I joined in, about 15 of, we were able to have a chat before the official meeting began. So that's something you might want to think about. If you set it at 10 and the official meeting starts, if it's just a friendly thing, it's not an issue. But if you're hosting a business meeting, something's going to be recorded like this, my classroom stuff, any of those official, you might want to budget in an extra half hour. And I put 2 hours, so now here, if I allowed, this is a basic plan, so I'll be kicked out of 40 minutes. But this allows me to come in early, and if my meeting's 1 hour from 10 to 11, I can stay until 11:30. Okay, so it'll start at 9:30, official meeting starts at 10, it officially ends at 11, and I will continue on. I have the option to continue on until 11:30. And this is what Suki has done for our session today. She started it earlier. We'll end up a little bit later for those participants after the recording is over, those participants who would like to talk to her or me. All right. Since I'm not actually going to hold this, and this won't work anyway for my basic plan, I'll just leave this as it is. Okay, this is Eastern time. Again, if you move, let's say you're on vacation or you're visiting, like I say, your children, your grandchildren, or great-grandchildren, if you're lucky enough to have them. I only have very young grandchildren at this point. If you are somewhere else for a period of time and you want to host a meeting there, you might want to go in and change this to the time you're local. Now, recurring meeting. When I have a class that just started Monday afternoon, and it occurs every week, once a week at the same time. So rather than have to create this every single time, what I did was I clicked on recurring. My wife, for example, on Saturdays at 3 o'clock, she has 2 friends, one in Israel, one in Boston, who she shares a meeting with. And she set it up, I finally got her to set it up as a recurring meeting. You can always cancel one of the particular sessions, but I'm going to show you what the recurring meeting goes. So if you have a regular, if you want to meet with your one of your kids on a regular, weekly or multi-weekly basis, you can. So here, I'm going to click on this and show you how this works. Click on this. So it could be daily. It could be weekly, monthly, or no fixed time. You could be changed, but I'm going to pretend I'm setting up for my class. It's on a weekly basis, once a week. And you can set this up to repeat so many weeks, every X number of weeks, but I like to use an end date. This will remind you occurs on, in this case, the Wednesday. That's what we set up. This is a Wednesday. So you can set it up there. You can also set up for other times of the week, but I find it easier just to do it this time. You can either end by it. You can have repeat by so many dates. You can have it end on a particular Wednesday. I won't go down here, the 31st, or say, after 4 occurrences, 4 sessions, it stops. You have a lot of choices. This is the one that I screwed up the very first time I did this. Remember, it started off with daily, and all of a sudden my class was being invited every day. So I switched it over to weekly, and here and here allows you to make these changes. Okay. In this situation, you notice there's a little lock here. I cannot get rid of a password. The basic account requires that a pass code, they call it, they don't call it password, pass code. The people get invited. Remember, it starts with a Z, ends with a ZY. This pass code is there. I think you can change it. Yeah, you can change it, but it has to have a passcode. So I call this practice, for example. And you'll see the passcode will be the word practice. A single word, I've seen people use, like I'm using practice, and I might use practice meeting. Whoops, I guess I'm stuck. Practice. I've seen people use, again, I'm very active, our Zoom classes in my synagogue, so we'll use things read at Talmud or other kinds of Torah, the kind of thing class is about. Now, waiting room. I don't know if you've ever encountered a waiting room. So I discovered I don't like a waiting room. And I've turned off the waiting room. A waiting room says that a participant in your session will, when they sign into your meeting, the account will be placed into a waiting room. It's a holding account. You won't be admitted to the meeting until the host actually says yes, clicks on you and admits you in. At that point, you're joining the meeting. I used to do this by default. The system usually on. The waiting room is on. It's a nice feature if you want to screen out people. But generally, I've not had a problem. And I want, for example, my students, the moment they sign into my meeting, to be able to get in the meeting, even before I join it. I mean, as long as the meeting starts, I got to start the meeting. But once I start the meeting, I want my students to join in. I don't want to stop talking, running my meeting, and stop and admit people to join in. So the waiting room is nice if you want to sort of screen in people, but just on and off, click. But I recommend you don't bother using it. Just let people come in. Now, video. By default, when you first sign in, the video is off for both you, the host, and anyone else you make a host, and participants. Personally, I just do this. I always change the host and participant to automatically start with it on. Individuals, you can turn on or turn off your video. You actually have that option when you come into the meeting to turn it off. Or you can join with or without your video on. But I find I'm going to give that option. I'd like to see the people I'm inviting automatically come on. I want that available to them. Now, I will allow people to join in anytime. I personally don't like to mute people when they come in. They can mute themselves, but I don't want to mute them, so I leave that off. I do not automatically record this because most of my stuff is personal, or I'd like to control when the meeting starts, etc. And I'm not going to bother with, keeping people from certain countries or regions out. I'm not sure how that works specifically, but anyway. So what I've done, just to go back, I created a meeting, schedule a meeting up there, or that the click on the meeting got there. I put in a title here. You can put in what you want here, but I don't even know where this goes. I'm guessing this allows me to make it bigger. Set the time, the date, the time, AM or PM, how many hours. Again, we're limited to 40 minutes. If it's a free one, your basic account. Make sure it defaults to your local time on your computer or your device. If it is a recurring, I've showed you this. I'm going to leave it on. So we're going to have 4 episodes starting on the 10th and ending on the 24th ending four Wednesdays afterwards. I changed the passcode to practice. You'll see that when we talk about the invitation. No waiting room. Video, I always leave it on. Allow the participant to join anytime. And now I'm going to save this meeting. Any question before I save the meeting?
Any of those preferences not available on a basic account, but only on the advanced? Other than
this is a basic account that I'm using.
but I was seeing that message pop up occasionally when you were pointing at other things. You never actually made the selections. That's why I asked if things like muting and whatnot, some of the ones that you were just describing with your pointer, rather than actually selecting them, were those still all covered by basic, other than meeting duration?
Yeah, again, this is, look, I have a basic account right now. This account here is basic.
But you didn't check them. Sometimes when you
check what? Could you give me an example?
Well, I can't scroll your screen.
No, you tell me when.
It was like whether or not you would allow people to log in ad hoc and not have them muted or their
right now. This is all available on all the accounts. Okay. I have commercial accounts through my college that I have access to. Amy has, I'm sorry, Suki has that same kind of setup through the Worcester Senior Center. I've not paid for an account because I have my own account, the free one, and I also have access to my college account for my college students. So I don't know what the paid one is, but as far as I know, this stuff is always available through all of them. The only difference is like here, that if you have a paid account, you're able to uncheck this and not bother having people come on using a password.
That was one of the questions that I did have.
So for example, Dan, you came on this session without using your password, right? Using a password. It didn't ask you for a password, correct?
I think it's been saved, so I didn't really have
it didn't. I got on today and I didn't use a password. I just clicked on the invite, waited a few seconds, and got on. But here, a free one, it does require a password, which you can change, but you can't unlock this as long as you have a basic one. That's what this one is.
So how did you change it?
I just went in here
and deleted it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to go back, and I just called it. I like to have a word rather than crazy stuff. And by the way, pass codes, as they call it, passwords are always case sensitive. So whether you want to make it, if someone types in practice all lowercase letters or all uppercase letters, it ain't gonna work. They got to use it exactly the same way.
There are two different things though, password and passcode.
They are different, but for Zoom, I've used the word same, but Zoom, it's called passcode. But most people don't know about that. They still think it as the term password. So I've sort of used it interchangeable for this. Any other questions? Or Dan, you have another question?
I'm all set for more, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so I'm going to go down and save this. So we've created a meeting. It occurs 4 times, a weekly meeting occurring 4 times on Wednesday. I'm going to do save. So I'm going to go back. So here's the information about this meeting. You can see it says start here. I can start it as early as I want. No one's going to know about it because that I started it. And sometimes I just do that to see what it's like. But first, I don't know, by the way, I might do that later. This shows you how to add it to your own account, etc. So this is the information that we don't, it's interesting. Here's the security. There's that passcode, so you can see it. We'll get back into invitation. This is the copy part of this is the link. And I'll talk about this later so you can see how to save that big invitation you mostly see. This is just telling about allow them to join anytime. None of these are available. The X says I didn't make these available for this meeting. I can always go back and edit. I can start the meeting. I can delete the meeting. Now, if you create a meeting that all the little options that you set up, like having the host and participants come in with their audio on and their video on, and no waiting room, and all those other things that I tweaked in my meeting, I can go down here and create a template, which I'll do right now. And I'm going to call this basic template. actually template. I think I'll call it basic meeting template. I'm not going to say the recurrence of this because I want to just use the basic template without the recurrence and allow me the option quickly to add an occurrence in those few times. Because most of my meetings are one time. I'm going to save this. So I'll put in a name here. And now I'm just, while I'm on the concept of template, if I wanted to create a new meeting, okay, where am I on this? Where do I get my template? Oh, I guess I haven't done this in a while. Okay, here's my meeting template. Oh, okay. So when we were over here, when you came in first, we click on meetings, and remember, here's our upcoming meeting. Here are the 4 sessions I created. Here are different dates. The February 10th, then a week later, and ending on March the 3rd, 4 weeks later. So these meetings were all set up. When they're passed, these are the upcoming meetings by default. When, for example, after February 10th, we've held a meeting, this will be moved up to the top. I can do previous to see it. I don't have any previous ones, but this shows you I can start a meeting, I can edit a meeting, and I can delete it. So if it turns out, for example, this particular session, I realize, oh, I forgot, I'm going to be away. I can't host this particular session. I'll have the 1st, 3rd, and 4th meeting. I can go over here and just delete it. Delete this occurrence, delete them all. I'm going to delete just this occurrence. So you have control over those. So if you added too many, you can, if you added too many meetings, you can delete the last few. I'd rather, if I'm not sure if it's going to end on the March the 3rd, or do I want to end on the 7th, I always put in the 7th as my last meeting. I'd rather go more and then delete them at the end. Also, if I wanted to, I can edit the session, a particular session, or all of them, the future ones. And it gets us back to our general information every 3 weeks. So here's all that information I put in there. For this particular one, or for all the session, I can change. So if it turns out that I needed to change this session from 10 o'clock to 11 for whatever reason, I can make the change for this one particular session. So it gives you a lot of control if you're meeting on a regular basis. Excuse me. If you're meeting on a regular basis with, your family, or you have a weekly departmental meeting or whatever it is, you can set this up. And if it turns out you're not going to hold a meeting, you can either just not start it, or you can delete it from that session if you know in advance. Are there any questions with editing the existing meetings?
Yes.
Yes, Dan. Was that Dan?
This may not be appropriate for the moment. Tell me if so.
I'll let you know,
but
Dan.
You haven't mentioned since the first week how the basic account holders can string together successive sessions smoothly so that he can get around the 40-minute limit.
Well, it's not, quote, smoothly. So what you have to do is let me go back. Let me cancel this. It's a good question. I think I mentioned, I thought I mentioned it in that PowerPoint presentation I gave the first session,
Yeah,
but I didn't talk about how.
We didn't get the slides yet. I hope
Okay.
we'd get those slides.
After the meeting, remind Suki she can send you the slides. Excuse me. Okay. So we're going to, what you would do is schedule a string of meetings. So you remember, you're limited to 40 minutes, and you got to start. Here's the problem. You notice that you got to start on every half hour. So if you started at 11 and you wanted to go for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you can create one meeting starting at 11, create another meeting starting at 11:30, start another meeting starting at 12, and so forth. So you're going to create a string of meetings, and you'd have to send out the invitation to everybody. so that when you start your meeting, let's say at 10 o'clock, and it's getting to your 40-minute meeting closure, and they'll give you a little warning on that, and then they close you out. If you haven't stopped the meeting, they will just stop the meeting midstream, so to speak. What everyone would have to do then is go into the invitation for the second meeting, log in there, and continue the meeting in that way. And when that meeting ends, or before that meeting ends, say, let's close. Time's running out. Let's close this out and let's go to the third session. And that's how you would work it out. Does that make sense? What I just explained, Dan?
Yeah.
So
The problem that I saw on the Mac, or limitation, is it doesn't appear in the free version on my Mac OS to be able to create a template. So it's going to be a little more work to do it that way.
Yeah, it would be great to hold a template like this. So I use template and just change the time for the next half hour,
Right.
Kind of thing. I say half hour, they'll be overlapping 40 minutes, but that way you don't have a 20-minute wait until the next meeting. Started at 10, you don't want to wait till 11 o'clock for your second meeting. You want to have it available starting at 10:30.
That's the quick comment to Joanna. You mentioned Mac before. You're actually using on a tablet Apple's iOS, which is different than the Mac operating system. So
Right.
Your access and your preferences would be a little bit different. But if you have that, if you've had it no longer than a year, you can call Apple support with some of these questions that you mentioned.
Yeah, I have in the past called Apple support. They're great, but they're also limited. They're very busy, especially now. But even when they had the stores open and people were going in there, if you just drop by, there's a long wait. You could make an appointment, but again, the stores may be. I'm not encouraging anyone to go out to an Apple store. It's usually inside of a mall, but you could make a phone call. Try to set up a meeting, an appointment with them, rather than have to get online and wait a half an hour for someone to be available to you, because they're really quite busy. But thank you, Dan. Every device, it's really tough. When I teach my classes at Quinsigamon, it's advertised to be a Windows course, but we always have a lot of people who have Apple devices, whether it's a tablet, a laptop, or a desktop, and or other devices. They can have a Google laptop or whatever the other kinds of operating systems are. And different people have different browsers, so that makes changes everywhere. And it's quite difficult to try to cover every base.
Okay, let's look at the invite now, because we're running out of time.
Well, sorry.
So
Thank you,
please,
Snooki. Oh, you're
please.
right. Thank you. Okay. So let me cancel this. That was editing my meeting. So I'm going to go to, here's our meetings. Thank you. So I'm going to go into, not start, I'm going to go into our meeting. I'm going to notice I could edit, delete, or start the meeting, but over here, this is a linkable thing. So I'm going to click on this. This is actually like the edit, but I want to get to this section here. Oops, sorry. This section here where it says invite link. And you can copy this, but no one ever does. Go over to copy the invitation. Here is that invitation. And all you have to do is click on this, copy meeting invitation. All this stuff, and I'll explain it when we look at it, is copied to, in my case, the clipboard, which is what they use in, what's the term in, Dan, what's the term in the Macintosh?
Clipboard.
Clipboard too, okay. So it's copied into the computer's memory. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to just open up a Word document right now. Should have had that one open already. Give me a moment. So I'm going to paste it here. Just do Control V in my case is paste. This is what we have pasted. Now, notice this is the standard format of this stuff. You probably have seen this. Here is the practice. It mentions every week 3 other occurrences. This is the current meeting here, and then it's 3 other currents. You could, if you are comfortable with editing, you can just block this off, and I'm going to delete this. You could just say time here. This is, see where it says calendar here? Well, this is the thing. This link over here, which is not linkable, I'll show you how to do it very quickly in a second. This is what you would click if you, the person you're inviting, to have that person add it to his or her calendar system. And if I want to make it clickable, all I have to do, and this is whether it's in an email or in this case, I'm editing here, is go to the end and just go enter. It makes it, now it's a linkable session. So I can go into setting this up. But this is the key over here, join the meeting session. I go over here at the end, press enter, and click on that to make it active. Here is your the ID number, which is another way of joining the meeting. But most people will join it by clicking here. Notice this number over here. This over here is that number over here. So this goes to Zoom, starts that meeting ID, and here's your practice code. One of the things I like to do, you've probably seen that in the invites that you received for this session. I block this off and I make it bold, I make it bigger, I try to change the color to make it really stand out so that people can see the passcode. And it's very easy to just copy that. If you're in Windows, actually, you can just double click and it copies it. Right click, copy, and then you can just paste it right in there. So there's also other information. Oh, that's interesting. Didn't have all the other information on there. Oh well. So me, I tend to just, the only things that are important are these 2 things, and this. This is really all you need to know. This is nice if you want them to have the option of adding that meeting to their calendar. So what I tend to do is I just take this stuff and edit it in a Word document or any text document. I edit this, make it look nice, because I like to customize my invitation. It only takes me a few minutes, and I get rid of the stuff I don't want and highlight the stuff that I do want. I will, for example, go over here and make that bolder, make it bigger, and change the color. So it's easy to see this, and I probably would eliminate that because they don't need it. And I try to reduce it to what I think is the basics. You don't have to. People are used to the standard invitation, okay? And then I would copy all this and paste it into an email, and I would send it to the people I'm inviting. You can also send it as a message. There's different ways of communicating with people, but copy that and send it, or simply start an email and do a paste with your original, this information, all of this. Now, what I don't remember, I guess it didn't show, oh, I was about to say, I guess I closed it. There's a whole bunch of phone information, but I guess that's not available to the basic account. But anyway, so I did copy all of this and paste it in. You can just paste it into a regular session, a regular thing. I would still, when you do that, remind you that once you paste it in, go to those 2 links, go to the end of each of those 2 links in your invitation and click it to make it linkable. Otherwise, people have to copy all of that and paste it into the address bar of a web browser to get to that. Okay, so that's how you copy your invitation. Go back quickly to show you. You go into the meeting. Actually, so when you're creating one, when you're creating one, you have the option. No, after you created one, I should have gone back. After you create a meeting, you would see this kind of a screen where you're reviewing it, etc. You're allowed to make the changes, And again, one of the things is, where is it? Oh, maybe it's not on here. Cancel that. Guess you have to wait till the meeting's over. Sorry about that. So you go to the invite link, click on the invitation, click on this, cancel, go into your email, set it up, do paste, edit it, and you're done. You send it off, and then people can join. Are there questions? Yeah,
I have to leave. I just want
not
to
a
thank
problem.
you.
Not a problem. That goes to next session. And we'll end in a moment. The next session, I'll be talking about hosting a meeting, what the various components of the various options that a host has and participants have in a meeting. Okay, are there any last minute questions before we quit this?
You're staying on for,
I'll stay on after the recording is over until Suki has to close out the meeting.
Richard, may I interrupt and ask
Sure.
a question? How did you get to this page to begin with?
Okay, so I'm going to get out of this, shut down. Okay, so you go to Zoom, you don't, this is signing up, and it's just zoom.us. I type it up there and you get to
Oh, Zoom US, okay.
zoom.us, press enter. Here's our starting page. If you've already, let me get it. If you haven't signed up, this is where you can sign up for the basic one. I'm going to sign in. You get to this screen. You type in, you type in your username and that password. The standard. If you forget, they'll email it to you. You click in here. You log in.
Okay.
And then either you're on profile, you go to meetings, and this is where you get to this screen.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone else?
Richard, I have a question.
Sure.
You lost me on the template. You created a template and then you didn't
Right.
do anything with it.
Okay, so you go over here to meeting and templates. You use this template. So again, this is the basic. You created your meet. Here's all the basic stuff. You use this template, and now you can change. You can go through this, but notice that here's your title. So, for example, I did this initially for my computer class, but then I realized I could just do a recurring one, and the name, etc., will be all there. But do you remember? Here's my template. Notice that the video, instead of being off, is automatically on. Allow participants to join anytime. Those things that I set up, no waiting room, all those things that I set up are there. I can edit it. This is telling me I'm using the template, and if I wanted to switch templates, if there was more of them, I can click on a different one. If I had a whole bunch of them, which I never do, you can search for them by, putting something up here. But this gives you a starting point that allows you to edit anything you want.
Okay, thank you.
And it's, so if you find you have this doing the same thing for your family, you're doing the same different things for your friends, or a different thing for a book club, or whatever you're in, you can set the template up so that you can make those ad hoc meetings, whatever you want, and have most of the settings there for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm going to end this now, and we're going to take questions after. So I'm going to close it out. Another terrific informational program to add to the Worcester Senior Center playlist. Thank you, Richard Spool. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and stay connected by watching the Worcester Senior Center Stay Connected programming on channel 192.
Bye-bye, guys.